Hello, welcome to this interview. My name is Alfonso on behalf of Retumba, a Mexican YouTube channel and slash blog dedicated to spread the news, report, tag, discuss the new age of extreme music, and as such, is do a conversation with Stefan of Hippotraktor. Uh, Here with me is my friend Lucy. Lucy, how are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Ste
I'm honored to be here with the
Ste
two of you.
Stefan, this is the second time that you have a conversation with us. How are you
Yeah,
feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Yeah, the album is coming out tomorrow, so I'm very impatiently waiting.
Yeah, yeah. It seems that we waited until the last minute to discuss this album with you guys.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how are you feeling with the reception so far, the buzz about it?
Yeah, really good. We did a pre-listening party a few days ago, so that was the first time we had some people listening to it. Some people we knew a little bit. Most of them we didn't. It was really cool. People tuning in from all over the world. And so far, everyone has been really kind with their comments and happy with the response so far.
No negative feedback.
Not really, no. We have a few reviews, and of course there are always some things that people might not like about it, but that's totally fine. Yeah, overall they've been really good.
I mean,
Wow.
and I think that these comments are to be expected when the band makes change or readjustments to the sound, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, before we dive deep into the new record conversation, often I will start with an icebreaker question. So let me throw you, do you believe in reincarnation?
Okay. Um, well, it's my favorite scenario, I guess, for
Hmm.
the afterlife. If I had to choose something, that would be something cool to believe in, I think, yeah. I'd say death is not the end. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure of that. Reincarnation, as in we come back here as a human. I don't know. I kind of hope so.
That is only the beginning. I heard that phrase some time
Yeah,
ago.
who knows, man? Yeah. It could be that when you die, you arrive at the gates of heaven and God asks you, what was it like in heaven? You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
right?
Perhaps this is the reincarnation from a past life that we don't remember
Sure.
about. You know,
It's all possible, man.
possibilities are endless. Well, and also, you know, just to get to know us a little bit better and to give the listener the opportunity to know more about you as an artist. I start by asking you about the introduction you had with heavy music, extreme music as a whole, as a young man. How do you discover or acquire a taste on your own? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was about, I guess, 12 years old. I went to my first year of secondary school. And around that time, I got introduced to a lot of new music. And the first band that really, the first heavy band that I really loved was Linkin Park.
Okay.
It was, I remember having a Walkman and riding my bike to school every day listening to Linkin Park. And then that kind of emerged into a bit more of that new metal scene. Also, some punk rock was very popular back then. So that was kind of my introduction to heavier music, I guess.
And this was what years?
2000s, 2001, I guess.
Okay, long time ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the years of new metal, the rising, or perhaps the best years. I don't know. So quite a big leap from that sounds to what you are playing now, Hippotraktor and Psychonaut.
Hmm.
Um, do you have like a specific experience or memory that made you decide, okay, I want to be a musician, I want to dedicate my time to this, I want to take it seriously, like to something that made you take this step into being part of the audience to be on the other side, and yeah, making your
Yeah,
music.
yeah. Well, You know, I've always been a very big dreamer, I guess. My first love was skateboarding, and from like the first time I picked up a skateboard, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. You know, I've always been very extreme in when I'm passionate about something, I want to just go all in.
Hmm.
So the first time I picked up a guitar at a friend's house, uh, I think I bought a guitar like 2 days after because I thought it was so interesting. And like the first weeks of playing guitar on my own, even though I sucked, I already knew like, wow, this would be amazing to do. And yeah, I just instantly kind of realized that music was really something that I was very passionate about. I just listened to music all the time, so it made sense to play it at one point. And then I remember as I got a little bit better at playing guitar, mostly because my dad would always give me like these really cool riffs to learn from Led Zeppelin and Deep
Hmm.
Purple, Black Sabbath. So I discovered all this great music that was very much guitar inspired. And I just knew like when I saw Jimmy Page play on these DVDs that I found somewhere, I knew I want to be a musician, a guitar player mostly. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Psychonaut and Hippotraktor aren't your first bands. What kind of sounds were you making before?
Well, my first band was a band I started with some friends in 2008, I think, and it was just a cover band. None of us could really play very well. It was actually with Peter, the first drummer in Psychonaut, and Thomas
Okay.
from Psychonaut eventually joined that band as well. But it was just us kind of jamming and learning to play Metallica songs and Black Sabbath songs and kind of figuring out how to play together as a band. And then after some years, we got a little bit better, and we recorded one EP, and it was, I guess, more stoner rock, blues rock,
Hmm.
something like that. And that was the band was called Generation. And that band eventually dissolved, and all of the members except for the singer formed Psychonauts.
Okay, I have a follow-up questions to that, but I will save it for later in the conversation, okay? Lucy?
Sure.
Great. Well, Stefan, hello. It's an honor to
Hello.
have you here again and hear you, of course, and seeing you. Well, Alfonso did some quite interesting questions, and I'm happy. Actually we are happy to know more about you or about your background as a musician. And now we are going to dive a little bit into the new albums. Uh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly. Stasis.
Stasis, yeah.
Stasis. Thank you. And about that album, I'm remembering the last interview we had with Santa when where we talk about your debut Meridian. And I remember about the conceptual thing about the album that was about a man that was trying to figure it out about what is life, but trying to reflect his point of view of life in the nature, like the trees, the wind, and everything around, right? And
Yeah.
now we are talking about a man that I kind of guess I guess that is like a retrospective because it's not, I don't know if it's the same man, because in the last album that man I think that died at the end.
Hmm.
And now this is like a retrospective. What if this man uh, is trying to know about the meaning of life, but knowing other humans and trying to figure it out by interacting with these people and knowing about feelings, emotions. And I don't know if I'm right about that. It's like I don't want to think that it's like kind of a sequel. It's more like a retrospective, right?
Yeah, it is a sequel in the sense that it's the same character that is returning now.
Ah, okay.
Um, it is a retrospective album in the sense that it is written starting off with the death of the protagonist, and then every song being a look back on his life, a reflection of his life. The idea to bring this same character back actually came from the fact that when we play live shows, I try to embody the main character from the album. I try to sing and move through his through his body. And when we were writing new music and I was writing new lyrics, there was the problem, I guess, that I didn't really know how to do this, or if how I would do this live. If I would play a second character,
Right.
it's such a cathartic experience to play a Hippotraktor show, and I didn't really like the idea of maybe being someone else now on stage, I guess. So we just made the decision to stay with the same character and to place him inside of a new world. And this world is one that is inhabited by humans. It's his first contact with humans,
Okay.
which is what the whole stasis thing refers to, is about more the collective experience as humans, as he, of course, learns their ways, as he learns about their good sides, but also the bad sides, about how they work together, how they have built a community that has very good aspects, but has a lot of corruption and a lot of greed. So dealing with that and kind of being stuck in wanting to change the world for the better, but being unable to do so, is the stasis, the thing that he is fighting, actually, the fact that nothing is changing. That's what stasis is about.
Like
Wow.
perhaps stagnation, something similar to that.
Yeah.
So my first question was in relation to that because I don't know if I'm bad at reading, but I didn't quite get that part where the protagonist dies and becomes like a second part sequel. So I thought maybe he reincarnated and
Yeah.
he's remembered a past life, and
Yeah.
that was my approach to it. But now that you explain it, so it makes sense that it's like looking in the mirror to his past
Hmm.
actions, but
Hmm.
the context is very different for him, right? It's a new
Exactly.
world,
Yeah. Yeah.
a new world.
Yeah.
Um, when you approach this live, like a performance, a theatrical performance, how much the past experience, because the previous record was a debut, you didn't have the context or the necessarily experience with it. How much of it informed the new approach to the concept in this new record?
Yeah, it's very important. To us, it just makes sense to know what we're writing about. We don't really like to write words and sentences that just sound cool. They have to mean something to us. This music thing is a lot more than just music. It's a way of expressing ourselves and a way of talking about things or singing about things that we find important. And yeah, the main source of inspiration is always that conceptual idea to think of it as a work of art beyond music, and to kind of create a whole picture and have the artwork, of course, be aligned with everything. So it's very important. Yeah, that's what we need to write. We need a good idea to start with.
Nice.
Well, really interesting. I didn't expect that. You really thought about how to compose this album, not only the conceptual part, but as well as the music itself. And with that, I have some questions. I remember that in the previous one, uh, we talk about the man Kieran, that is the one that every band would love to have in in company, right? Because he is a producer and as a musician, and I realized that, well, he's collaborating in that way in this second album as a producer and as the guitar player.
Hmm.
And I read in the promo of the album that in this second one, all the members they collaborate in some parts, and I guess in the music, giving some ideas. And I would like to know more about how was this dynamic of the group as collaborating in parts, and how was that process?
Yeah, so Kieran always writes, he writes everything, but with this album, there were a few points where he was kind of stuck with one track. And sometimes when we rehearsed, he would just play a riff just to see what Lander, the drummer, would do. And same with Jakob, just ask like a really simple question, like what kind of vibe are you looking for? If you know that we have these 4 songs, describe in a few words what you want the song to sound like. And we all had these very tiny suggestions, but they can mean a lot to Kieran, and it kind of helps him get back on track. And I think I maybe suggested a few things like maybe change the tempo here or extend this part, but very small suggestions. That's all he really needs to keep going. So yeah, that's how it goes.
It makes sense that he is in charge of writing the overall experience or the arc
Mhm.
of the music, because we as the audience can reconnect once again with the tone and the expression of it. Perhaps a third record will be more collaborative for the band.
Yeah, definitely possible. We also have a new band member now who doesn't sing on Stasis, but he just joined, so we're very much looking forward to collaborating with him as well, because Christoph is a great singer, guitar player, songwriter. So I think we'll definitely have some fresh ideas from him as well.
Nice, interesting. Well,
Wow.
the result in this album for me, and I don't know if Lucy have something to follow up that comment, but I would like to mention that this record has brought a few interesting changes in the sound, and what I would like to say is how different is my perception of it the first time that I listened to both records, having those perspectives on it. The first, it was big. It made quite the impact on me. The mix of this heavy sound, thick, distorted sound, but contrasted or counteracted with melody, like staccato riffing, perhaps. I don't know. And
Mhm.
that part is like no more here. It's more focused on the weight of the sound, and that kind of, I don't know if that forces you to also make a different approach to your vocals modulation, because as we go deep into the album, it presents a different kind of moments that perhaps were like a small thing in the first album, but here are like more fully realized. And
Mhm.
then we discover, something different about the band and something different about you as a vocalist. So yeah, how much of that is intentional and how much of that is you realizing that the sound is different and it needs a different approach?
Oh, hard to say. I think Kiaran just writes what he likes to hear at the moment. Of course, one of the priorities we always have when we write a new album is that it can absolutely not sound like the last album.
Right.
We're not interested in writing a second part to an album. So it has to be a new version of us. Still has to sound like us, of course, but it's a tough balance to manage, because I guess bands have made very drastic changes to their sound in the past. Let's say a band like Alcest, and it's
Yeah.
not always a very popular thing, but I don't really think any band should care about that. They should do what they want. So I don't
Exactly.
think we've made such a drastic change, but we wrote the album we wanted to hear. We are a bit more focused maybe on the storytelling part, on having immersive songs, having surprising songs that are unpredictable, that kind of surprise you all the time. And yeah, that's why I guess it sounds a lot more proggy and Yeah,
Okay.
complicated at times.
So being unpredictable is like a factor for the band. It factors in like the audience being unaware of how things will turn out over
Yeah.
the course of a song. And actually, that's one thing that in my mind is what I like about Hippotraktor. You can get the sense of the song, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes into the song, but in like a small 10 seconds, it shifts drastically what I think or what I expected of the song. And this
Yeah.
is the overall experience of the first record for me. And what I listened to the first single, it was it Silver Tongue, Lucy or Stefan.
Yeah.
Yep.
I expected that kind of pattern, to repeat 2%, and I got it, and I was happy for it. And yeah, why made you decide the band to go with this as a first single?
Choosing single is very hard, I think. We have a lot of 7-minute songs on the album. I guess one of the things we wanted to do first was give people something that was, let's say, a bit more digestible and a bit easier to kind of take in, to show people, hey, we're back, and we have made some changes, but so far we're gonna take it easy. We're gonna just smooth you into it. And then we saved the more progressive, heavier songs for the second and the third single. Yeah, I guess Silver Tongue is just feels a bit more like a single. It has it has less parts, different parts, I think, than some of the other songs. And we thought it was the best first impression people would get.
It was a safe move.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And what I like about this single in particular is that kind of remind me to the manifest of Mountain, because the single, the format of the recording that
Yeah.
was one shot. So that was really great, and I thought, oh, it's the same essence. It's great to hear that, and I love the single. Was a really great impression in my opinion. Really well done, guys.
Nice, thank you.
Okay.
How thin? Sorry, Lucy. Go ahead, please.
Well, I have a personal question. Well, not that personal, but I remember that in
Ooh.
the last in the last interview, I remember that you guys told me that with the drummer, I mean, he is really, really creative and really talented, and I don't know if my memory is really quite well, but I remember that you told me that he recorded the drums like 1 or 2 days, just like that. It was like really easy for him to have a propose of what to add to the album. And in this case, how long did you guys record the album?
Yeah, Lander is by far the best drummer I know. It's insane what he can do. He is creative, like you said. You never know what he's going to play.
Yeah.
He'll just do like fills that take up 4 bars whenever he feels like it, and you just hear him starting a fill, and you're like, dude, it's like 16 counts away from the drop, and the fill starts now, really? Just, and sometimes he doesn't, and he's very, very more modest, and that's really fun about playing with him. I think it's always challenging, and the Meridian. I remember he recorded 6 of the 7 songs in one day. That was including the setup, sound checking the drums. It's insane. And then he had like one more song the second day, and then we did percussion. This time, I think I wasn't there, unfortunately, for the drum recordings, but I believe they had 3 days. But he basically did most of it in 2 days again. And it's a bit more, I guess the songs are a bit more calm sometimes, but there's a lot more counting going on, a lot more different parts that he had to remember. So I think he definitely had a more difficult time recording these songs than the songs from Meridian. But it's Lander, so yeah, he kills it. And so I think all in all, the recordings, they were very scattered because Kieran recorded all of the guitars at home before we even started recording drums. Vocals, there were so many vocals, so that took like 3 months on and off between jobs and shows, and of course having to rest our voices. So I think everything together, probably 3 months of work, and then Kieran mixed it and mastered it in another month, I think.
Is it different at all? The perhaps the demo of the songs after the final mixed is, how different are they, or if they are at all?
Yeah, the drums are usually a bit different because Kieran writes demos with programmed drums like I do, like most people do in these times, I guess. So the drums get replaced with the real drums, and the
Okay.
guitars were already recorded, so we knew exactly what the guitars were going to sound like.
Okay.
So and that was really fun since I wasn't there for the drum recordings, for instance. Kieran sent me the first mixes, and I heard all kinds of drum patterns that I hadn't heard before on the demos. So it was really cool to discover it as well. And a few times I was so surprised that he did something that I would have never expected.
Actually,
So,
this is something that I was curious to ask you about. Is there any room left for improvisation in the band? You know, in the final moments, things can change.
I think in terms of vocals and drums, yeah. The rest is pretty strict. The guitars and bass are very important. They are all agreed upon in advance. But yeah, when we're recording vocals, sometimes something happens, and we go with that and see where it takes us, and maybe we'll end up with something different. And same with drums, yeah.
Is this your first time trying this kind of vocals on your own?
Some of the things we've done on this album, yeah, there were definitely some types of screams that I hadn't done before. We did, yeah, it's just always a challenge singing new songs. You always discover new things about your voice, and so it's the same basic style as I did on Meridian, but definitely pushing to the next level with this one.
Because I imagine you have to find a nice center between very different things. Like you write high concepts scenarios with your lyrics, and you want to fully express it the way you, or deliver it the way you expect to. But also you need to think of the live performance and be able to do it, I don't know, on a run, on a tour. So do you feel after all like you could have done more with your vocals, but you feel like it wasn't safe for you to do it because, you know, being practical and such?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's actually something that I have finally started to learn, to stop doing things in the studio that I can't do live.
Right.
And there are a few exceptions, apparently. You know, I'm getting a bit older. My range it's kind of like maybe missing it
on.
one or two semitones that I
You are
had
not old.
years. No, I know.
You have 20 years of run ahead, you know, being
yeah. But you know,
at least.
yeah. But it's the same thing every time you sing a certain part, and you feel in the studio like, okay, this takes some power, but I can do it. And then you have to play a 1 hour set, and then that song is like all the way at the back of the set, and like, okay, let's go. This is the pushing the limit, but it's also fine, you know, if you don't hit a certain note perfectly every time.
Yeah, it's part of human nature, which you very much brought about.
True.
Actually, I mean, you have to get rid or fight your ego, your artistic ego, you know, to restrict yourself, take a step back. But also what I learned, and with many discussions with artists, or my appreciation of this kind of music, is that this kind of music or art form, it pushes the boundaries of human expression to a new level, other level, in which you, well, the artist exposes his health, or like, you know, what I'm trying to say here, like, you put at risk your own health to deliver to the audience, you know. And other kinds of musics, yeah, it's about stamina and endurance, but with vocalists and this kind of musicianship is, you know, you have to be passionate and be very, you know, motivated to do so in this way, right?
Mhm.
Have
Yeah,
you ever
absolutely.
questioned if you should have followed a different path artistically? These kind of things.
Oh yeah. You know, I always wondered if I would have been a good drummer. That's something that I sometimes
Mm.
think about because
Oh,
I love playing guitar so much, but just watching London or Harm from Psychonaut play it looks so fun. So maybe that would have been cool, but I think I am in the correct spot. Yeah, it's singing. It's weird. I like 10 years ago, I never would have thought I would be a singer. I was, or let's say 15 years ago, I just wanted to be Jimmy Page. That was it. And then I guess kind of rolled into it, and
Okay, so coming to play Jimmy Page styles of rock to Psychonaut and Hypotraktor kind of metal, it's a
mhm.
very different style. How do you encounter your I don't know, your taste and motivation for post metal as a whole? I mean, post metal being restricted.
I think, you know, it's hard to describe. I think we have that influence in the music, and I think everyone can kind of hear it. That there's this 70s thing in Psychonaut, for instance, going on. It comes from that place,
Yeah.
but the trick is to
mm,
kind of use those things, not to copy them, but to try sometimes things that sound so dumb, to take a beat from a really soft rock song and then just turn it into a metal drum beat. Be creative with that. With same with chords, like take chords that sound very happy, and just like a reggae chord, and see what happens if you take a different voicing, drop it down, and it's all just funny experimentation. Really, that's how most of what we do happens. Yeah.
Um, Lucy, you have something to say?
yeah, what you were telling us about, if you could choose to play another instrument, you mentioned the drums, and Hippotraktor, of course, you kind of do some percussions, and also you are the vocalist as well. But if I'm like getting ahead of what are you working for, but in the future, you kind of see yourself like interacting even more with the percussion.
I think it's a really cool idea, but I don't really know why, but on Stasis there is a lot less percussion. Much of it is just focused around guitars and drums. So that's not really something intentional, just kind of how it happened. But I do think there is a lot of potential in working around that percussive element and trying new things with that. The only problem is I'm not a very good percussionist.
Oh,
I'm a
stop.
guitar player. What do
Oh,
I know? So if we would actually do something with that, then I would need to really get good at it. But it might happen. Yeah, would love to.
yeah,
Um,
but I mean, in Meridian, your participation kind of give a great thing. I mean, it's a great company, the percussion, because there is an ancestral vibe in some of the songs, and I love that in Meridian, and I think that you're under, I, I I don't remember the word, but I think that you have a lot of potential there, and don't be so. I forgot the the word. I mean the.
Insecure.
Yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I will try.
Yes, please.
I think he is modest rather
Yeah,
than insecure.
exactly. Well, it's too modest. You are
Um,
great in percussion.
I have this thought in my head about the new album, and I will try to phrase it as a question, so please bear with me for a moment here. I think this album, in more detail than the other, forces the attention to the listener, forces you to lean ahead and be closer to the music. And in these moments in which you, as the ears to it, expose yourself and let your guard down, the album comes with a punch, and this is something that I appreciate about this record, how it forces the listener spirit to be fully devoted to it, in these moments. And being you, the vocalist, I don't know if you um, try to capitalize on these moments as a vocalist and also as the teller of the story when you have these spaces in the song to, okay, I need to come out with something clever here.
Basically, yeah, it's very it's very rewarding to be able to write vocals for everything that Kjaran writes. When he sends an instrumental demo, it's so amazing to hear it for the first time. And like sometimes it goes one or two ways. Sometimes I just think this is perfect, keep it instrumental, don't touch it. And it's the other way is that sometimes I hear the vocals from the first time I listen to it. And sometimes I'm completely wrong. And it actually
Okay.
turns out to be the other thing. What I
Oh.
thought, for instance, the last song of Stasis is called The Reckoning. And it has a lot of those fragile vocal parts. The first time I heard that demo instrumentally, I thought, keep it this way. There's no way this needs vocals. But then the idea started coming, and eventually now I can't imagine it without the vocals anymore. So it's important to just listen to the music and be respectful to every song, know when to speak, know when to shout, know when to shut up, and just
yeah.
decorate the
That is
instrument.
also important, knowing when to shut
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Yeah,
Find the right moments on the
Amount,
songs
right?
to get
yeah,
loud.
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if Lucy had a follow-up question to that, but I had one comment, perhaps to close with this chapter of the album. We also want to talk about a lot of other things with you, if you're okay with it. It's about the album covers of Hypotraktor. I don't know if you are in charge of that and or have some info on it, but I want to mention two things. First, that I always in my head pictured architecture with post metal, with this kind of riffing and this kind of big bombastic momentos and explosions. And when I saw the first album cover of the album cover of Meridian, yeah, I just loved it. I loved the shoes of the geometry and the concrete, the textures of it, and I also remember like showing the band pictures. Perhaps it was like a warehouse. I don't know. Architectures for me in post metal as a whole plays a big role in it,
Mhm.
and now the album cover of Stasis again is the architecture is the beautiful architecture. And I remember in my student days a quote from a Brazilian architecture, and I will definitely butcher this quote, but it says something along the lines of, architecture, no, nature doesn't provide us with straight lines or 90 degrees angles. That is human made,
Mhm.
And when you wrote about human nature and humanity, why do you choose, or the band chooses to present these concepts with straight lines and angles, geometry that is man-made and is not, it doesn't exist in nature?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's exactly like you said. I think the straight angles come from humans. Since we're writing about humans in nature, the contrast between the two is very strong, I think. The album artwork from Meridian was something that our designer Sam took. It was a picture he took somewhere. I have no idea where. And the first time we saw it, it was perfect. I have no idea what it is. I don't know where it is, but it's just perfect. This new artwork was done by guess who? Kieran, the guitarist. He had some time left. So he spent like 100 hours layering all kinds of different stock photos that he found. He generated some images. He put everything on top of each other, drew some things by hand, and he made this massive compilation. He sent us, I think, 3 different versions. They were all beautiful, but this was the one that we all chose. It's yeah, the Stasis part of the album. The concept is, of course, we're fighting something that cannot be broken. It's unbreakable. That's what the Stasis means. Like we can't break it, we can't defeat it. So what is something that is unbreakable, that is eternal? That's that architecture, especially these massive churches or domes like we have now. It is something that will be here for thousands of years to come.
And
That's
also
the conceptual
the
link.
the kind of repetition, like in fractal, I don't know,
Yeah.
explanation of the album cover. You know, it's eternal, it's infinite.
Yeah, exactly.
An
Yeah.
infinite recursion. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that explanation. Humans in nature, not human nature. Humans in nature.
Oh yeah, and both, of course. Yeah, yeah. It's everything.
That makes a lot of sense. Also about you know, the tones of it, the greenish of the album covers. I don't know if you see Music in Colors or Kirian. I'm pronouncing his name right? Okay.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah.
I don't know if you or the band sees Music in Colors or believe it's in synesthesia, but the way you present your music with the visuals, it also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it has to be one whole, one complete thing. And the color thing, you know, I think our music is definitely very visual. The first time I hear new demos, I always see all these kinds of things and all these intense visuals. That's where the weird name eventually also came from. I think it also has just this ridiculous, weird visual thing. These things that Kiaran's songs tend to make us see. I don't know. So the visual part is very important. I guess when we design our light show for live shows, there are always like these feelings, like this feels like a blues song. Feels more greenish. It's hard to say why, but
Yeah,
it's definitely a very visual experience as well.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's really interesting about that kind of like imagine colors when you listen to music. When I listen to Hippotraktor, well, immediately I think about a mix of colors like cream, blue, and gray, and I think that those colors are uh, represents the nature itself, and it all fits. I mean, the music, your ideas about philosophy and the human evolution, and I love that. And what you were explaining about the architecture theme of the cover art. I mean, wow, really well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
And well, I have another question that is not related about the album. Well, I want to do a comment that one of our friends in the blog is assistant to the Pelagic Fest this year.
Cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Big fan of Hippotraktor, by the way.
yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
His name is Irvin, by the way, if he's watching this interview. I think he
Okay,
will.
cool.
He will do.
Cool.
Yeah. And well, the lineup, I mean, wow, is impressive. We have there. I think that Playgrounded will be there, right?
Sorry, who?
Playgrounded.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to
Good
say European audiences are spoiled with this kind of fests. You know, we in Latin America are envy you. So please be happy and be there, because this shows only exist in our imagination over here, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are excited to see one of those bands in particular.
Every one of them. But the band I've never seen, and I hate that, is LLNN. And
Oh,
I can't wait to see
Wow.
them because Unmaker is one of the most incredible heavy albums
earth
I've ever
shattering.
heard. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. And our
ridiculously
sound guy Victor,
amazing.
he mixes them as well sometimes. So it's I'm so looking forward to seeing them.
Please, when when you watch, if you watch Playgrounded, think of this conversation and be reminded that we wish we could be there seeing
I will.
Playgrounded
I
live.
will.
I don't know,
Promise.
you have seen it live before?
I have seen Playgrounded. Yeah, I saw them at
Okay.
Arctangents last year. Yeah, it was
Oh,
great.
actually,
And
Irving was there also.
yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
you
Yeah.
know,
he was there. Yeah.
he got hooked with these festivals and wants to
Okay.
be
I
there
I
again and again.
understand. It is really one of the best festivals in the world.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's so perfect the lineup that it should be named Retumbas Fest instead of
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Arjanket or
yeah.
Pelagic Fest.
Oh, I mean, another question about the your label, which about by the way makes a lot of sense that Hippotraktor and Psychonaut exist in this label. What are your favorite bands
From
from
Pelagic
the
Fest.
label?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously the Ocean. I'm a massive The Ocean fan. I have been for decades. I love
Okay,
LLN, like I said. I love Savor as well. Psychonaut did a split album with them a few years ago. Amazing band. PG Lost, amazing guys, amazing bands. There's not a single bad band on there, whether it's
by
Yeah.
something like Karen Park, which is something completely different,
mm,
or it's something brutal like LLNN. It's crazy. They always have good bands, regardless of the style. So
have you listened to the new Bipolar Architecture?
Yeah.
not in its entirety, but I did really like the single. I still need to listen to the full album.
And just sleeping with
Yeah.
it. Just
Listen
Cool.
sleeping
to
on
it.
it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Nice. I'll do that
And
tonight then.
Glassin, the new album
Of
of Glassin.
Glassing.
Have
Oh,
you listened to it?
no, I haven't listened to it, I think. Damn,
Oh,
no, I
please
should.
do it. Please
I
do it.
will. Yeah.
It's really great, as well as Bipolar Architecture.
I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
Two
I'm gonna
really
tell
great
Robin.
albums.
I'm gonna tell Robin that you're not listening to the releases.
Don't get me in trouble.
um, yeah, well, for me, it's Playgrounded. Bipolar Architecture this year is like um, head to head with Hypertractor so far,
Nice.
and so I think you have to listen to it.
I will.
Also,
Definitely.
we have a question about Psychonauts, and it's loosely
Yeah.
for personal interest.
Yes.
um, you made one song with Carol of Heartbreaker. I think that she's
No,
named Carol.
Stephanie
With
from Brutus
okay,
and Colin,
Yeah.
right?
and yeah, and okay, yeah, it was Carol with Amenra before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I made that mistake. Okay, so
No worries.
you work with Colin and Brutus. What was that experience like?
Great. They're amazing musicians, amazing human beings. I can't believe, I still can't believe we have that song that actually happened. Stephanie wrote all her parts herself.
Wow.
Completely surprising because we asked her to do something else on the song and she just wrote something herself. It was perfect. Colin, yeah, I don't know how to describe what it was like to hear that scream for the first time on our music. It's
Yeah,
with Psychonaut and with Hippotraktor, every time we record screams, we always put like at least 3 screams on top of each other to make it sound extra brutal. With Colin, one was more than enough. That was
Ooh.
crazy.
do you have like a memory of the first time that you listened to Amenra, and what was like the impression you got?
Yeah, I remember, to be honest, when I heard it on a record, I didn't get it at
Mm.
all. I had just kind of gotten into post-metal thanks to bands like ISIS and a Belgian band called Stake Number 8 at that time. So I was kind of dipping my foot into the genre and I didn't get it. But then I saw a video on YouTube, and I was like, okay, maybe there is something more to this. And then I had to see them live to finally get it. But the first time I saw them live, I was immediately a fan. I totally got everything. And then when I got home and played the studio album again, I heard it in a completely different way. So ever since that moment, I don't know when it was. It's a really long time ago. I've been a huge fan. I've watched them so many times, and they're a big inspiration.
It's like
Right.
one of the bands from Belgium.
Absolutely. Proud to
The
have them.
the first time I listened to Amen Ra was with this song Mon Mon Ami. I don't know if I'm
I'm on
pronouncing it
album. Yeah.
correctly. Amon Am.
Yeah.
And I saw the video and his performance, his cadence, astonishing. And to this
Yeah.
day, whenever I think of something reminded me of Amen Ra, I always picture that video and that kind of screaming.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I have an interview with Colin, and I'm a bit intimidated. So if you have a good question to address him, or an advice for me, please.
Oh, just be yourself. He's the nicest person you'll ever meet. He's one of those guys that looks really scary on stage, and he's just a really nice person. You'll do fine. Just be yourself.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I honestly I am really intimidated by him because I admire him so much. Okay, we have to talk about Belgium as a whole. I have a question for you, kind of a funny one. Is there any band recent discovered for you that you like the music, like you are impressed by the music, but you love them for the vocals? That you perhaps, okay, music, yeah, but vocals, yeah, you know,
Okay. Belgian bands, you mean?
in general, because I mentioned Belgium because I have one Belgian band in particular in mind.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, I've been so busy that I haven't really discovered that much new music recently. It's not a band that I've discovered very recently, but I have to mention it's a Belgian band, Cobra the Impaler. I'm
Oh,
not sure if
okay.
you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I'm still insecure after watching these guys play and sing. Manu and Michele, they have the dual vocals that we also have in Hippotraktor and in Psychonaut, and they are amazing singers. So that's the perfect example, I think, of what you said. It's a band where the music is great, but the vocals are just like perfect. And
On another level.
yeah, I
It
recommend
takes,
everyone checking out Cobra the Impaler. They also have a new album out
yeah,
a few
recently
days ago.
released. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you will do a live show, right? The two of you
Mm,
performing your new albums, right?
Exactly, tomorrow. Yeah.
I
Ooh.
see now.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so last year, at the end of the year, it came a new band from Belgium. I will try to pronounce it correctly. It's called
Oh,
Aldrich. Aldrich, and
okay.
the album name is Jakmoor. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I
No,
will
I'm not.
I'll write it on the write it on the chat. Aldrich, and the album title is Jack
Oh yeah,
Weir.
it does look familiar. I think some crew members have mentioned them. Haven't checked them out yet, but I will. Cool.
Dude, the vocals. Ah, man. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
And this is the thing about we over here in our side of the world think and see the movement of your country with this kind of sounds. Always something new, always something interesting. And for me, the latest is Aldrich. So please
Okay.
check them out.
I will. Cool. Thanks for the recommend.
Yeah. Lucy, you have another question?
Uh, um, I have a question about, I know that you are a great fan of Potamus. You recommended them
Mm.
in the last interview, but I know that you collaborated with them in the last album, I think, or I don't know if you only live. No, right? You collaborated, in fact, in the studio album.
Yeah,
And
I
of
sang on a track called Ferals. Yeah.
oh, oh, great.
Yeah.
And of course, I know that you are a fan as well of bands that we already mentioned, like Amenra and Brutus as well. And you did this collaboration with these bands in Psychonaut and Hippotraktor. Are you open to collaborate with these great bands in the future, or which other band would you like to collaborate with? I mean, I don't know if
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think there's definitely a possibility that we will. There are no plans so far. With Hippotraktor, we haven't done that yet. When it's absolutely an added value to the album, we'll do it. I don't think we'll be the first to ask someone to contribute very soon again,
Oh,
because it has to remain something special, you know. If you do it every album, then people will just think, well, who are they gonna get this time? I think so. I do think it's smart to be very scarce with it. But I do really believe in a collaboration with Potamus. I think that would be great. We've played
oh
so
yeah.
many shows together, and there is actually, if you look really well on YouTube, that you will find a video from 2014, I want to say, where Potamus joins us on stage with Psychonaut, and they play one of our songs together with us, and we've played with them as well in a big church show they did. That show is also on YouTube.
10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. The first thing
Okay.
was about 10 years ago, and then last year, I believe, I joined Potamus on stage here in Mechelen in a church.
That's
So,
another great band with psychedelic tribal ethnic motifs in their music. And
yeah.
actually it made me remember, since I first listened to Psychonaut with the previous record, not the last one. Um so the name Psychonaut, and the psychedelic themes. Which one in the band have this experience with psychedelics? Is it you?
It's also me, I'll say. Yeah. It was yeah. I'll just say it's also me.
Okay. No putting anyone on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know how they would feel about that.
Okay, but so I'm sensing that it made a big impact in you artistically or personal, that you decided to express yourself with Psychonaut, the traveler of the mind. What can you tell me a bit about how do you see this kind of experience looking back?
Yeah, that's always the big challenge, to explain that, right? To explain a
Yeah.
psychedelic experience.
I mean, you could explain why did you do it, but
Yeah.
the result and the alteration of it is very difficult to put it in words.
Yeah. I was 20 years old, I think. I was studying. I was very curious about a lot of things. I have a mother who is very into spirituality and
Mm.
who had been trying to teach me a lot of things, and I was kind of blocking them. And I don't know why I got interested in it. One night we just decided to do it, and I don't know, it felt like the start of a new life. It sounds so dumb when you say it like that. It sounds so cheesy, but it's everything. It's like life before and life after. And it's
Yeah.
been 12 years or so since I've even done that. I don't feel a need for it anymore either. I feel that I have learned from what I needed to learn, and it's the most inspirational and beautiful experiences I've ever had.
Was it with mushrooms or
Also, yeah.
ayahuasca, or what kind of substance made you
No
taste?
ayahuasca. No, I haven't done that. No, it was mainly mushrooms. Yeah.
Okay. Now that you mentioned that you haven't tried that again, there's this. I mean, I admire Knife Close to Terence McKenna, which I'm
Hmm.
sensing that you know
Hmm.
also.
Of
And
course.
he and his brother have this discussion about addressing the psychedelic experience. Terence once got scared with mushrooms, and he said, "Okay, it's about entering the call, listening to the message, and hang up, hang up." And his brother Dennis said, "Oh no, it's about listening to the message and start a conversation." What do you think about that?
It does feel like you're getting a lot of messages. It's a very suggestive experience. Your thoughts go crazy. It definitely is something I think you can work with. I don't think I have ever been able to control it very much. To me, I've always felt like the receiver of an experience, and that was like more than enough at the time. But I do believe that there is a potential for so many things in psychedelics. Of course, there are also a lot of dangers, and I don't think anyone should do it uninformed or in an unsafe way. Never, do something crazy like that. But I am very interested in what it could actually do for us as humans, what it could do for our, and maybe what it has already done for us in terms of evolution.
Yeah.
There may be some kind of missing link somewhere between previous human species and our species that have some kind of connection through psychedelics. It's all possible. I think they're really interesting theories. Infinite possibilities, definitely.
So Psychonaut is linked very much with psychedelic philosophies.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a reference to the drug thing, but more of the result, the effect, having that experience, being here in this universe, being part of something bigger, being open to that, trying to connect with that, and just living the life, the maximum amount of life you can, I guess.
For me, just to add the final part in this part of the conversation, it makes you question things that the sober mind can't comprehend, right? Like it's this altered state of mind is very special for that because it makes you question things very differently. And okay.
It is, yeah.
Two last questions. Unless Lucy have another one.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, so back to the Hippotraktor part of the conversation. This is about your imagination, so don't feel restrained. If you could choose two other bands to play a live show, having Hippotraktor as the main the centerpiece to link them, the first and the third one, which bands would you choose first and for the third act?
Wow. Okay. So we are at the center, right? We're the second band.
Yeah. Please don't go with Psychonaut.
No. I need rest.
Yeah. Also that.
Let's it's not gonna be very surprising, but I would have Salver open, then I would play Hippotraktor, and then the ocean can just kick everyone's ass afterwards.
Okay,
that would be an amazing lineup, I think.
So I'm surprised that this hasn't happened before.
Yeah, same. We have played with the ocean once, I think, with Hippotraktor, and we're playing again at Pelagic Fest, of course. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? There one day there might be some tour.
What do you think of the direction they went for with this couple of last records, or the last one in particular, the ocean?
It's so hard to say. Everything they do is just good, you know?
Yeah.
I never expect the album to sound like it does, and it's always just so good. It's so different, and it makes you go, huh? And then the second and third time, it makes you go, holy shit, what? How did they do this? How does this sound like a new thing again, even though it's like their 50th album, so to speak? They just keep reinventing their sound. I really, really love it. I think everything. I'm a huge fan from the moment Loic joined, especially with the Centrics. all the way up to now, Holocene. I love every album. And this album has specifically inspired a lot of my vocal melodies, even though we were already pretty far in the writing process. But when I heard songs like Atlantic on that record, I couldn't believe how good a vocal melody can be. It's yeah, so thank you, Loic and the Ocean, for the inspiration.
So that is one of your favorite songs on Holocene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Favorites, probably my favorite song of last year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great song.
For me too, I guess.
With you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the 90s had Neurosis, Isis, 2000s had Cult of Luna, The Ocean, all the way to 20 years in the present. Now we have Hippotraktor in this new decade. We have bands like Dune. Do you feel Psychonaut? Do you feel some kind of responsibility or towards your art to continuing to push forward because of it? Because you have these great bands, you know, perhaps looking at you at their legacy and what you are doing with it.
Sure. You know, it's I think it's dangerous to worry about that too much. I think we should just play music and think about that and think what we want to say. But I do want to say that we're extremely grateful to even be mentioned, you know, in like you said, like this group of bands that in a way reflect a genre or a certain decade. That's amazing to realize that we're one of those bands. Yeah, and it's crazy how now we meet a lot of bands who take inspiration from us. So we're kind of keeping the whole thing going, and that's a very thankful experience.
Okay, finally, the last question, and we saved the one good question we had for last, is if you could relate what you have in your mind and the thought process of it with another kind of art that already exists, like a movie, a painting, a book, which one would you choose and why?
Does a sport count, like something physical?
Yep.
No. Yeah, I was really into gymnastics when I was young. I've been rock climbing now for a few years. I think something maybe I would have enjoyed to do a bit more physical activity and kind of put a lot more energy in that as well. That's something I've wondered about. So maybe, or skateboarding, of course, my first love. I wonder that maybe that would have been something fun to pursue as well. Yeah, I want to say that. I'm a really shitty painter and I can't draw. So,
Okay, I think I perhaps I say this question wrong, but it's about you finding a connection with the message and the visuals to another piece of work, you know. But
yeah.
you already answered, so that's okay.
Okay.
Stefan, thank you for your time. We appreciate that you sit here with us and bear with us. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
so
Thank you
much.
for inviting me. Cheers.
Anything else to say, Lucy, or to add?
No, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here again. and I want to say that I love your album and I hope to see more albums coming in the future and with probably more collaborations and just be you guys and really thank you for you. I'm really thankful for your music and your time, Stefan.
That means a lot. Thank you.
If you take one thing with you after this conversation is please go and listen to Aldrich.
Yeah, Aldrich, I have it here. I copied it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I will.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and have a good rest of the week.
Cheers, you guys too.
Stefan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.